got some more stuff together so I can do a twin flame update. No, that's not what I'm doing. There might be some update in there, but this is a part 2 to the last video because it was like it didn't cover everything. So in the last video, I covered how I said the Lord's Prayer, and I didn't cover everything that I was going through at the time, but I was going through, I'll just say, like a divorce experience. There's a huge complicated story behind that, but I had just moved to another state. I just had a baby. I had just overcome some health scares. I was determined not to give up on my dreams, my life, the things that I had in my mind at the time, which was a family and this marriage. So I got married and had a baby, and as soon as I did, something was very wrong. Like immediately after we got married, something wasn't great. And it's a really complicated story, not to go into it too deeply, but something just wasn't right. And it was a mystery, though. It was a mystery. Like, I could not put my finger on what was wrong at all. But the Spirit came on me that day in my house. I said that prayer. And the next thing I remember happening within a few weeks, a month, some period of time, wasn't very long. I have severe allergies. And, well, I had severe allergies. I'm now healed. It was not an easy thing to do. I had a rare genetic disposition that was very life-threatening. And it was very difficult. And so I knew I had a diagnosis and I knew I had this condition, but I had not successfully found a doctor or a real explanation on it, you know. So I was sort of just dealing with it on my own, and I was finding understanding, and I was finding ways through it, and I was doing very good. And after I had the baby, it was difficult because it kind of triggered my health condition and my spiritual experience at the same time, plus the marital issues and moving to a new state. So I was just really in a difficult place. I did not think my marriage was going to end, my quote-unquote marriage. Not at this point. I did not. I knew there was trouble, but I didn't think that things were going to end because I had already tried to end it. And that's how I ended up married, because I was trying to end it and the masculine I was with at the time dug his heels in further and got me to move all the way to where I live now. But God had his hand in it. And so I knew that too. I knew that I was needing to move and that this was a good move to make. The part I didn't know was that the marriage was going to fail. So we're still together at this point, and I'm going to give you the NDE part of the story because this is how it went for me. I said that prayer. The next thing that happens is I get really sick, and it happened within just a couple of hours because, and that's what the angels were triggering me about. And some of this information, because I was listening to people's NDEs and their God experiences. And I kept thinking, why are they mentioning so much that has to do with my experience? And then I realized, and I was hearing from Archangel Michael again, and I realized that he actually did want me to share this on my channel. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I can do that. Let's share this part. So, I shared this on my Facebook page a lot, so I feel like I'm repeating myself, but this is my channel, and so I have a different audience, of course. Some of my audience isn't that new, and some is. So within 2 hours, I get sick because there's wildfires, and I didn't know that there were wildfires. I didn't have any news. I didn't have the radio on. I was just finally feeling pretty good and out of bed because I spent a lot of time in bed. I was up cleaning my house and I had my windows cracked. It was really a nice day, and still didn't know why I had that experience with God, but I had gotten my Bible out, and I was going to God like I'm supposed to. So, next thing I know, I'm sick. I realize the windows are open. I've been breathing the smoke, and it happened really, really quick, and I guess I had an anaphylactic shock situation, something like that maybe. I'm not sure, but I know very quickly I was very ill. My fever went up really high, and this goes on for the next 2 or 3 days. I can't get my fever to come down. I can't really break this fever. I can't really get to feeling better. I don't have a car. I don't have a phone. My sons are always gone. They're either at football or some school event or gone with their friends. My husband is always gone. He doesn't get home until it got later and later. It used to be like 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, and then it would be like 8, 9. Now it's getting even later. And I don't know anybody where I live. I don't know any neighbors. My neighbors work a lot, and the one next to me like works crazy hours. He's in and out. I don't know them at all. The people across from me were so rude at the time that I literally thought they didn't want me in the neighborhood, and I was kind of like afraid to even talk to them. So I'm just stuck. I've already reached out to friends, certain family members, to try to reach out to somebody that, I can't put my finger on it, but something isn't right. So at this point, I know if anything happens to me, I'm alone. I'm like, that's it. I'm all by myself, and that's all there is to it. I keep trying to tell my so-called spouse. He knows my condition. He knew about it he went to the doctors with me. He went through everything with me. There's no way, even with his so-called memory problems that he said he had, that he doesn't know that that my condition is dangerous, and that thing, I've explained it to him. We've been through enough that he should understand. So I kind of think, no, I'll just go to God, and I'll be fine. I was fine before. He didn't take me this far to just leave me here. I'm gonna be okay. And my fever goes up really high. I'm at 104 for like over 24 hours. I'll take my temperature and it's like 103. Then it's back up to 104. I think I got it down to 102, 101, and go back up again. So I'm spiking these fevers. None of it's going down to a normal fever. I'm still breastfeeding my child. And I try to catch my husband, so-called husband, at 4 or 5 in the morning before he's leaving to go out to work. And I try to get him to stay home. This is like on the 3rd day. And I'm like, can you stay home? Can you go get me some medicine? Maybe I need to go to the hospital. And then he gets really, he's not acting like himself. He's not acting like, it's really scary at this point, because he changed so much that I don't even know if I'm dealing with, I don't have no idea what I'm dealing with. I just know that I'm not getting any response from him. And when I go to anybody to talk about it, or even go to him, it's like they don't hear me, or they don't care, or they don't comprehend. It's like I'm not speaking English or whatever. So I don't know what to do, except for, again, I'm just like, fine, whatever, go to work. And he goes to work, and I laid there, and I think I died. I still to this day think that I passed on, or I went into some sort of experience at some point in that day. And I wake up, hours have gone by. I know something just happened. I know something godly has happened. I've been having supernatural experiences all surrounding this incident. I don't remember what I knew. I knew some stuff. I knew I had been with God. I knew that I had went, and I knew that I was really, really sick. I could not even move. It was so bad. And at this point now, the baby's starting to get sick too, and I'm like, great, now I'm making her sick. She ended up being fine. She just had like a little baby cold, and she got right through it. It was no problem, thank God. And I did have enough supplies and things that she was fine. And it was even also like the angels did something and were there, because somehow she wasn't too much for me to take care of. Somehow she was really, well, she was still pretty young, but she was 8-9 months old at this point, so she's sleeping through. So I come out of it, and I finally get on Facebook, and I'm trying to text family members or people that know my kid's dad that are on Facebook. I don't have any contact with anybody else, none of his family or anything, because I don't like how these people have treated us. it was that bad that I'm not even willing to like talk to them. And at this point I had already confronted him and said that I did not want to spend time with his family. It was just like, I'm done. That's not what I'm doing. I came here to start a life with you and our family, and not putting up with whatever the crap was. So I get on there, and it's like his stepbrother or cousin or somebody that I'm texting, and I'm like, can you let him know that I'm sick and stuff like that? He finally comes home, and I'm fine now. I have no fever. As a matter of fact, I'm filled with energy. I feel very strong. I feel very empowered, but I'm really emotional. And I finally sit down and I just let it all out. And I'm like, I cannot do this. That's it. I'm not living like this anymore. Like, I've tried everything. This is just not working out. He's not hearing that. I love you is no. I'm like, okay. So I go, I'm hot all the time too, because I'm having all these like other spiritual symptoms, which I find out later on are like ascension symptoms, and that I'm going through a spiritual ascension. I'm having a spiritual awakening and a spiritual ascension, and I'm having a really intense one, really intense, prolonged type of ascension experience that included getting sick, having stigmata, fevers, everything. I studied up on it. I met some more people that had some intense experiences. I started learning about the NDE experiences, because I knew that, and I told him, I'm pretty sure I laid here and died or went to some spiritual place, something happened, and then I'm fine now. I'm no fever. I'm fine. But my head was still like heating up. Like, my head was so hot all the time. I go in the bathroom and cut my hair off. Almost all my hair. I just cut it off, which is very unusual for me to do something like that. Very, very unusual. And then I go to Walmart the next day, and there is a picture of Miley Cyrus on the magazine next to me with almost the exact same haircut, and the song that she's got out on the radio is a perfect depiction of my emotional state at that time. Almost perfect. But it's that Wrecking Ball song. And so I was like, wow, I just cut off all my hair. I had to go have it fixed at the hair place. And so from that point forward, everything just changes, and I start kind of learning about my twin flame, and I'm shown that I have a twin flame. I don't know who he is, but I'm having the twin flame experience, and I'm having all these mirrors and stand-ins, and the ancestors have visited me, and guardian angels have visited me, and I'm told like a lot of stuff is revealed to me, and I'm told that I need to get on my twin flame journey, and that I don't know who he is. I'm hoping it's the person I'm married to. I keep trying. My cousin's trying to help me. He's like, it's your marriage. It's, and I'm like, I know, it's a marriage. Like, you don't just walk away. And he's not acting like he wants to give up on it. But he says he doesn't think he's a twin flame or a soulmate. If I can get him to talk to me about anything like that, he does not acknowledge it. And I'm like, well, this is coming from God. This is coming with tons of confirmation. I'm even hearing about it in the Bible. I've almost died. I've been through enough hell at this point. Now I have a daughter, and I don't need her to think that this is how life should be, or that this is how a woman should be treated. And I stood up for myself. And the thing that actually that broke us up was the fact that I realized I had a twin flame, and that it was a very, very real thing. And he even acknowledged that I had a twin flame. And I started to even get knowledge of his twin flame. And I told him that too. And every time we would try to get together just to even talk, or he would try to hold my daughter or anything, nobody in his family could hold her or get near her. She would scream her head off. And they were just like, there's something wrong with this woman. There's something wrong with this kid. And we were like lepers all of a sudden. And they didn't want anything to do with this. They just paid thousands and thousands of dollars. And he's been with me all this time. I couldn't literally leave the room. The only time we weren't together was if he went to a job or I went to a job. He's helping me raise my 2 sons. And it was just like within 6 months it was over. And he we're both acknowledging that it's out of our hands at that point. It wasn't like any breakup I've ever seen. Yes, we had problems, but it was just like, it's out of my hands. And he said the same thing. We were both literally standing there like, this is out of my hands. This is bigger than me. This is bigger than what I can even put into words. So it was very difficult. It was extremely difficult, and very, even right now explaining it to you is very difficult. Also recalling it is difficult because it's been some time ago since this stuff happened. I found the right spiritual help and support. I stayed on my twin flame journey. I never gave up on the fact that I had a twin flame. I had a lot of people showing up trying to be the twin flame, trying to say they were my masculine. I've been through more spiritual warfare than I can even try to depict to you. And it wasn't till a couple of years ago that I started to see who my masculine really was. The real thing. The real face of the man. And that was crazy. We had a lot of witnesses that showed up for our reunion. And we had Archangel Michael. Like I said in the last video, I took my sacred journey with Archangel Michael. And that was because masculine was, one, not destined to do what I was destined to do, which is go through a void experience. Trust me, my whole collective and the whole 144,000 had to prepare me for it. And Michael himself had to spend, I think it was 3, almost 4 years with me, training and preparing me for what I was going to go through on a regular daily basis. This was no simple thing. This was no minute thing at all, what I did and what I experienced. And it began in my training with Michael. That has a lot to do with what's going on with my life right now and my youngest little boy. It was all part of God's plan, and I knew the whole time it was. I had to walk through a lot of it not knowing, just having faith in my relationship with the Lord. And it started with a lot of going into the higher dimensions and anchoring down what I was going to need and being paired up with other people with the high enough vibration and spiritual experiences and closeness to me that I would be able to do it. So there was a lot of trial and error when it came to things. There was a lot of stand-ins and soulmates. I knew the whole time, and every time I would be sent a false or a stand-in, or even when I was in these karmic marriage situations, that it wasn't my masculine. I knew when I split up with my daughter's dad that it wasn't my masculine, but Michael helped me go through another stand-in situation with a karmic who I call the karmics handlers when they use mind control on you, especially in a marriage, or if it's a boss or someone with some sort of authority over you. I call it a handler, not just a stand-in, or not just a karmic or a soulmate at that point. I had a lot of soulmates, had some karmics, but the handler situations, a lot of people want people to think on the twin flame journey that that's a karmic or a false or a soulmate, but no. Very, very frequently, especially with people with children or certain empaths, and maybe even all of them for all we know, everybody thinks that they've gone through their awakening, and you get to these places where you think you're there, you think you're awakened, or you think you've been through so much you're there, and then you're not. But everybody's different. Some people do get through it very quickly, and being that I had to go through the void experience, I didn't get through it very quickly. I went through this for like the whole past 10 or 12 years and leading up to it. So really it's been like 20 years. And then if you count the time of my first meeting with my masculine, the first initial meetings started for me as young as 8 or 9 years old, if you count the fact that I had my first empath activations at 8 or 9 years old, and Native American visitation, and some Holy Spirit visitations. So I've been at this for a long time. And so I don't know if I was supposed to talk about just the NDE or the twin flame and the NDE, but it's hard for me to separate them because for me that's how it played out. I knew I had a twin flame. I knew I could not continue in the marriage. The next marriage came along, and I had been through so much that this person, and I was in such a really, really weird place that this person seemed like my masculine, and I got in a hurry, and because of my illness too, I thought I can't keep living like this. This is dangerous. I have to take care of my health. I don't know if I'm going to be healthy enough to have another baby. I don't know if I'm going to be on the earth for very much longer. I feel like God has a plan for me. It seems evident that he has a plan for me. He told me I had a twin flame, and I kind of just went boop, right down into this like karmic handler situation. And let's just say the dark ones had a real good time messing with me, and they would still like to mess with me if they can. So earlier when I said I had a choice, I don't have a choice between twin flames. I have a choice of things like where I'm gonna live, how I'm gonna do things in terms of how I look and present myself, and I have a choice. Like I have choices now that I didn't have before. As far as twin flames, not much choice there. We didn't go through 30 years of this to walk away from it, but I have a choice now of diving in too, and so does masculine, or we have some things to consider. Let's put it that way. We have some things to consider. We have some work to do. We have some divine meetings with the divine to complete. So there's still some steps. But we've just entered into our bubble phase. They call it the bubble phase, and that's the beginning of your twin flame journey. When you first meet your twin flame, or when you reunite with your twin flame, there's a bubble phase. Some people, it's a short bubble phase, and sometimes it's a long bubble phase, depending on how whole each of you are as a soul. So that's the choices we have. So when I say I have a choice, I have a choice, and I do have a choice on the ministry and some of the work that I do, because there's other masculines that have I have twin brothers. I mean, that's what I was trying to explain to people, that I'm in a group. I have starseed, literal starseed sibling relationships, and lots of close-knit companions that I have spiritual connection with, and quite a few of them are masculines, and they're not just karmics, they're soulmates, and they're also fellow twin flames. So when I say I have a choice, it's not, I didn't literally mean that I had a choice. No, let me just be quite honest. There was a little bit of runner in there. There was a little bit of runner. I was like, if I get that vibe one more time, if I get that weird vibe, I'm out. And I've been more of the runner, or at least it seemed like I was more of the runner in our twin flame union. So yeah, if I'm being quite honest, I there was a little bit of runner in there, but it was also in a lighthearted, friendly way, but also kind of like my old stubborn behavior. So being honest, like I was like, if I get one more vibe about what I put on, or more nosy questions, I don't do interviews. The things that I want to share with my masculine don't have anything to do with like who I dated, or how serious I was with so and so, or what I wore, or did I flirt with somebody, or why did I say this, or why did I say that. And I feel like I'm been being put through some sort of like weird interview, and a one-sided thing too, a very one-sided thing, and to where even Archangel Michael intervened. And I was like, if he's intervening, there's something wrong. And so that was where the runner energy started to come in at. So yeah, at this point, I don't think either one of us can run. I've been saying that for like 2 or 3 years, and I've been right every time. Where we run into, first of all, there's nowhere to run, and second of all, it's ridiculous, because even the universe at this point has acknowledged that we have both chosen the journey. So again, how it plays out is going to be interesting to see. We still have some stuff to get through. And I'm picking up that I do have a masculine who, and it might be my masculine, I'm not sure, but somebody has a young female that they're focused on, maybe even concerned about, maybe someone they can't see. I don't know. I'm just picking it up very vaguely. So I'm going to put that in prayer and plead the healing balm over that. I don't know who Bob is, but Bob seems like, I have an Uncle Bob that died recently, so I was like getting some I was getting some family vibes and some familiar spirit vibes, and I've been channeling the archangels. I channel angels all the time, but I was channeling the archangels, like ARK. Those are the big guys, right up there with Archangel Michael. Everyone also gets on there and talks New Age stuff, and they talk about this twin flame oversoul stuff. That oversoul is God, an entity, and he sends us these archangels and these ARK and ARC angels, which is what my name means, and a couple of the masculines in my monad as well. And that's how we know a Akashic truth about these angel titles, and Michael being the only one that is an ARC, ARCH, and we decoded all of that. I did a lot of that. I had help from angels like Sandalphon. He helps a lot with that etymology and names, and helps us like stay on path and path placement type stuff, especially when you're trying to remember what order things go in and stuff like that. He helps bring order. So I did some Sandalphon study recently, and I just got a lot of New Age stuff. I didn't get a lot of like what I was exactly looking for, and that was what I was looking for. And I often like to work with certain angels. A lot of people like the popular ones like Raphael and Uriel and stuff like that. And it's not that I don't like them, but I prefer certain angels. I prefer the Archangel Michael, Metatron, and a few others that maybe aren't that popular, but they're the bigger angels. And when I say bigger, they're so big that even channeling them can be very difficult. This last time I was just like, wow. I was in bed, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't in bed like before, like I was sick. It was just like, sometimes it can just be that exhausting when you're channeling. So it was very helpful though, and that is my NDE experience in a nutshell. I wish I was a little bit better at describing these things, but I've just been through some crazy stuff, so it's going to take me a while to anchor it all down into, presentable dialogue and formats and all that good stuff. So, it's not fun to remember it either. It was very, very difficult times. Very beautiful on the spiritual side of things, and phenomenal experiences. At the same time, it was one of the most difficult things. So I love you all. Thank you for listening to my messages and being here with me. A lot of my other 144,000 have been showing up. There's been a lot of divine meeting happening. So I love you guys. Bye.